You don't notice the exact moment people begin to lose respect for you. There is no clear warning, no sudden change that announces itself. It happens quietly, in small shifts, in the way people listen to you, in how seriously your words are taken, in how much weight your presence carries. At first, nothing seems different, but over time, something changes. The attention becomes weaker, the responses become shorter, the respect becomes thinner, and you are left wondering what happened. The truth is uncomfortable. Respect is not something you lose in one big mistake. It fades through repeated behavior, small actions that seem harmless, small habits you never question. The silent mind understands this clearly. People are always observing, not your intentions, not your promises, but your behavior, what you tolerate, what you repeat, what you allow to continue. These things send signals, quiet signals, but powerful ones. They show others how to treat you, not through what you demand, but through what you accept. Most people try to gain respect by speaking more, by explaining themselves, by proving their value through words. But respect does not come from words. It comes from consistency, from control, from the ability to act with clarity without needing validation. The dangerous mind understands this. It does not chase approval. It does not seek attention. It focuses on behavior. Because behavior is what builds reputation, and reputation is what shapes respect. Every small action matters. Every reaction matters. Every moment where you choose between control and emotion leaves an impression, and those impressions accumulate until they define you in the eyes of others. This is why most people lose respect without realizing it, because they ignore the small things. They believe respect is something big, something dramatic, but in reality, it is built and destroyed in the smallest moments. The way you respond when challenged, the way you carry yourself when no one is watching, the way you handle pressure without breaking your composure. These are the moments that decide everything. The silent mind pays attention to them. It understands that respect is not given freely. It is observed, measured, formed over time. And once it is lost, it is difficult to rebuild. Not impossible, but difficult. Because people remember patterns, not promises. So the real question is not how to gain respect. It is this: what behaviors are quietly destroying it? Because once you see them, you can remove them. And once they are removed, respect begins to return. Naturally, without force, without explanation. You want to be liked. You want to be accepted. You want people to see you positively. So you adjust. You soften your words. You change your tone. You hold back your real opinion. Not because you are unsure, but because you are afraid of how others will react. The silent mind sees this clearly. Approval feels harmless. It feels natural. But the moment you begin to depend on it, you lose control. Because your actions are no longer guided by your values. They are guided by other people's reactions. This is where respect begins to fade. Slowly, quietly, without you realizing it. The dangerous mind understands this. It knows that the more you seek approval, the less you are taken seriously. Because people sense hesitation. They notice when you are adjusting to fit their expectations. They feel when your words are not fully grounded. And once that happens, your presence loses weight. You become easier to ignore, easier to overlook. Not because you lack value, but because you do not stand by it. Most people confuse kindness with approval seeking. They believe being agreeable means being respected. But respect does not come from constant agreement. It comes from clarity, from knowing where you stand and not moving unnecessarily. The silent mind does not resist others, but it does not bend for them either. It listens, it observes, but when it speaks with certainty, without needing validation. This creates presence, because your words are not influenced by the need to be liked. They are influenced by what is true. The dangerous mind operates this way. It does not ask, will they approve? It asks, is this correct? If the answer is yes, it stands firm, even if others disagree, even if it creates tension, because respect grows in those moments when you hold your position without aggression and without fear. Approval seeking also creates inconsistency. You change based on who you are with. Your tone shifts, your opinions adjust, your behavior becomes flexible, not by choice, but by pressure. This weakens your identity, because there is no stability. People do not know who you really are, and when identity is unclear, respect becomes unstable. The silent mind remains consistent, not rigid, but grounded. It does not change based on external pressure. It adapts when necessary, but it does not lose itself in the process. This creates reliability. People know what to expect from you. They understand your boundaries. They recognize your standards, and this recognition builds respect. The dangerous mind values this deeply, because consistency is stronger than approval. You do not need everyone to agree with you. You need to be aligned with yourself. This alignment creates strength, because you are no longer divided. You are not saying one thing and thinking another. You are not acting differently to avoid judgment. You are clear, direct, stable. Approval seeking also leads to over-explaining. You try to justify yourself. You add extra words to make your point acceptable. You soften your message so it does not offend. But in doing this, you reduce the impact of what you say. Your message becomes diluted, less direct, less powerful. The silent mind removes excess. It speaks clearly, without unnecessary explanation, without trying to convince everyone, because it understands that not everyone needs to agree. Only those who are aligned will understand, and that is enough. The dangerous mind accepts rejection, not emotionally, but logically. It knows that standing firm will not please everyone, and it does not try to, because respect is not built by being liked by all. It is built by being real with yourself. This does not mean you become harsh or aggressive or dismissive. It means you stop adjusting your truth to gain acceptance. You remain calm, you remain controlled, but you do not compromise what you believe just to be approved. Over time, this changes how people see you. You are no longer someone who follows. You are someone who stands, quietly, without force, without needing attention. And this presence demands respect, without asking for it. This is the truth most people avoid. You do not lose respect because people dislike you. You lose it because you try too hard to be liked. And once you stop seeking approval, you begin to rebuild a presence that others cannot ignore. You say a lot. You explain your plans. You describe your goals. You speak about what you will do. And in that moment, it feels like progress. It feels like movement. But nothing has actually changed. The silent mind sees this clearly. Words create an illusion of action. You talk about discipline, you talk about improvement, you talk about growth. But talking is not doing, and people notice the difference. Not immediately, but over time. At first, they listen, they believe your words, they take you seriously. But as time passes, they begin to observe patterns. What you say versus what you do. And if those two do not align, respect begins to fade. Quietly, because inconsistency breaks trust. The dangerous mind understands this. It knows that words are easy, action is not. Anyone can speak, few can follow through. And the more you speak without acting, the more your words lose value. They become lighter, less impactful, less believable, until eventually they are ignored. This is how respect is lost, not through one mistake, but through repeated misalignment. The silent mind avoids this. It does not speak unnecessarily. It does not announce plans. It does not explain intentions. It acts first, quietly, consistently, because action does not need validation. It proves itself, over time. Say less, do more. Because when you reduce words, each one carries more weight. Each statement becomes deliberate, precise, meaningful. And when those words are supported by action, they become powerful. People begin to trust what you say, not because of how it sounds, but because of what they have seen. Most people struggle here. They feel the need to explain themselves, to share their plans, to make their intentions known. Because speaking feels productive, it creates a sense of progress. But it is false progress, because nothing has been executed. The silent mind removes this need. It does not seek recognition for what has not been done. It waits, it works, it builds in silence, and when the result appears, it speaks for itself. This creates a different kind of presence. You are no longer someone who promises. You are someone who delivers. And delivery builds respect, not intention. The dangerous mind also understands that over-talking weakens perception. The more you speak, the more opportunities you create to contradict yourself, to over-explain, to dilute your message. Silence removes this risk. It creates control. You choose when to speak, you choose what to say. And because you speak less, you think more. This increases clarity. Your words become sharper, more direct, more aligned with action. This alignment is critical, because respect is built on reliability. People must know that when you say something, it will be done. Without delay, without excuse, without inconsistency. The silent mind builds this reliability through behavior, not promises. Each completed action reinforces trust. Each follow-through strengthens your reputation. Over time, this becomes your identity. You are known for what you do, not what you say. The dangerous mind values this deeply, because reputation is built in silence, not in explanation. Most people reverse this. They speak loudly, but act quietly, or not at all. This creates imbalance, and imbalance destroys respect, because people do not trust what is not proven. The silent mind corrects this. It acts loudly, through consistent execution, and speaks quietly, only when necessary. This creates impact, because your actions become visible, even without words. People notice consistency, they observe discipline, they recognize reliability, and without you saying anything, respect begins to grow, naturally, without force, without demand. This is the shift, from talking to doing, from intention to execution, from illusion to reality. The truth is simple. You do not lose respect because you speak. You lose it because you speak without acting. And once you reverse this, your presence changes. Your words carry weight. Your actions create proof, and people begin to take you seriously without needing to be told. Disrespect rarely begins loudly. It doesn't start with something obvious. It begins small. A tone, a look, a subtle shift in behavior. Something you notice, but choose to ignore. You tell yourself it is not important, that it does not matter, that responding would create unnecessary tension. So you stay silent. You let it pass. And in that moment, you believe you are maintaining peace. But the silent mind sees something deeper. It sees a message being sent, not through words, through inaction. Because what you tolerate teaches others how to treat you. Quietly, without explanation. The dangerous mind understands this. It knows that silence is not always strength. Sometimes it is permission. Permission for behavior to continue. Permission for boundaries to be ignored. Permission for respect to be reduced. This doesn't happen instantly. It builds over time. Each moment you tolerate what you should correct, you reinforce a pattern that tells others there are no consequences. And where there are no consequences, behavior does not change, it expands. Most people misunderstand response. They think it must be emotional, aggressive, confrontational, so they avoid it completely. But response does not require anger. It requires clarity, calm, control. The silent mind responds without losing composure. It does not react emotionally. It does not escalate unnecessarily. But it does not ignore either. It addresses behavior at the right moment, directly, without hesitation. This creates boundaries, clear lines that define what is acceptable and what is not. The dangerous mind maintains these boundaries consistently. Not once, not occasionally, every time they are tested. Because inconsistency weakens boundaries. If you respond sometimes and stay silent other times, the signal becomes unclear. People do not know what is allowed, so they continue testing. The silent mind removes this confusion. It remains steady, predictable, firm. This creates respect, because people understand that your boundaries are real, not flexible based on mood, not dependent on situation, stable, controlled. Tolerating disrespect also affects how you see yourself. Each time you ignore it, you reinforce a belief that your standards can be lowered, that your boundaries are not important. This weakens internal control, because you begin to accept less than what you expect. The dangerous mind rejects this. It aligns external behavior with internal standards. If something is not acceptable, it is addressed, calmly, but clearly. This alignment creates strength, because you are no longer divided. You are not thinking one thing and allowing another. You are consistent, inside and outside. This consistency builds presence. People recognize it, not because you demand respect, but because you demonstrate it, through control, through clarity, through action. The silent mind also understands that not every situation requires words. Sometimes, the strongest response is distance. Removing attention, withdrawing presence, not engaging with behavior that does not meet your standard. This is not avoidance. It is selection. You choose where your energy goes, and where it does not. The dangerous mind uses this wisely. It does not argue unnecessarily. It does not prove itself to everyone. It simply removes itself from what is not aligned. This creates power, because attention is valuable. And when you control it, you control interaction. Most people give attention freely, even when it is not deserved. They engage with disrespect. They tolerate it. They remain in environments that reduce their value. And over time, this becomes normal. The silent mind refuses this. It becomes selective, intentional, focused. It does not stay where respect is absent, and because of this, it preserves its standard. This is the shift, from tolerance to control, from silence to clarity, from reaction to deliberate response. The truth is simple. You do not lose respect because others disrespect you. You lose it when you allow it to continue without response. And once you begin to set clear boundaries, everything changes. Your presence becomes stronger. Your standards become visible. And people adjust without needing to be told twice. You say one thing, but you do another. Not always intentionally, not always visibly, but over time, the difference becomes clear. The silent mind notices this immediately, because inconsistency is one of the fastest ways to lose respect. Not through failure, but through misalignment. When your words do not match your actions, trust begins to weaken, slowly, quietly, without confrontation. At first, people ignore it. They assume it is temporary. They believe you will correct it. But when the pattern repeats, their perception changes. Your words become uncertain. Your promises lose weight. Your presence becomes less reliable. The dangerous mind understands this deeply. It knows that consistency is the foundation of respect. Not perfection, consistency. Doing what you say you will do, repeatedly, without needing reminders, without needing pressure. Most people struggle here, They speak with intention. They plan with clarity. But when it comes to action, they hesitate. They delay. They adjust based on mood. This creates a gap between intention and execution. And this gap is where respect is lost. The silent mind closes this gap. It reduces unnecessary promises. It does not say more than it can execute. It commits carefully, and once it commits, it follows through. This creates reliability, because your words are no longer uncertain, they are backed by action. The dangerous mind values this discipline. It understands that every broken promise has a cost. Not just externally, internally. Each time you fail to follow through, you weaken your own standard. You train yourself to accept inconsistency, and over time, this becomes your default. You stop expecting more from yourself. You lower your expectations. You accept less effort. This is where weakness forms, not in one moment, but in repeated misalignment. The silent mind rejects this. It holds a clear standard, and it enforces it, daily, even in small actions, because small actions build identity. If you say you will do something, you do it. No delay, no excuse, no negotiation. This builds trust, first with yourself, then with others. And trust creates respect, because people know that your words have meaning. They are not suggestions, they are commitments. Inconsistency also creates confusion. People do not know what to expect from you. Your behavior changes, your effort varies, your response shifts. This unpredictability reduces confidence, because reliability is missing. The dangerous mind removes this. It becomes stable, not rigid, but consistent. Your actions align with your standards. Your behavior aligns with your words. This creates clarity. People understand you. They know what you stand for. They know what you will do. And this understanding builds respect naturally, without force, without explanation. The silent mind also avoids overpromising. It does not speak beyond its capacity, because it knows that unfulfilled words create weakness. Instead, it speaks with precision. It commits only when it is certain, and when it commits, it delivers. This creates power, because your words are not frequent, but they are accurate, and accuracy builds trust. The dangerous mind follows a simple rule: say less. Do exactly what you say. Nothing more, nothing less. This removes confusion. This removes inconsistency. This builds alignment. And alignment is what creates strength. Over time, this becomes your identity. You are no longer someone who intends. You are someone who executes, quietly, consistently, without failure. This is the difference between being heard and being respected. The truth is simple. People do not lose respect for you because you fail. They lose respect because you are inconsistent, because they cannot rely on what you say. And once reliability is gone, respect follows. But when your words and actions become one, everything changes. Your presence becomes solid, your reputation becomes clear, and your respect becomes unshakable. In the end, respect is not something you ask for. It is something people decide based on what they see. Not what you say, not what you promise, but what you repeat. Every day, in small moments no one talks about. The way you respond, the way you act, the way you carry yourself when it would be easier not to. This is where everything is decided. The silent mind understands this. It does not chase attention. It does not try to impress. It focuses on alignment, making sure that what is said and what is done are the same. Because once that happens, you no longer need to explain yourself. Your behavior speaks. Your presence speaks. Your consistency speaks. And people listen, not because you demand it, but because they trust it. The dangerous mind builds this trust slowly, through discipline, through control, through actions that do not change based on mood or pressure. No shortcuts, no exceptions, Only consistency. Because consistency creates reliability, and reliability creates respect. This is the difference most people never understand. They try to be respected without becoming reliable. They want recognition without discipline. They want results without consistency. But it doesn't work that way. Respect follows structure. It follows behavior. It follows proof. So if something feels off, if people are not taking you seriously, if your presence feels weaker than it should, do not look at others. Look at your patterns. Look at your habits. What you repeat. Because that is where the answer is. And once you change that, everything else follows. Naturally. Quietly. Powerfully.